Hi, I'm Kelly Goetz, and I want to give you some quick tips to help support the lung meridian. We've had a lot of questions, and so we're just going to give you some really safe, quick little things that you can do. First thing I want to talk about is the way that the lung meridian flows. It actually is most active on the meridian flow wheel from 3 a.m. to 5 a.m. And so what that means is that's when the lungs are really working hard, and usually the energy is at a high tide for that particular meridian. Meaning that as that energy flows around the 24-hour cycle in the meridian flow wheel, when it gets to 3 a.m. to 5 a.m., that's when lung is typically most active, releasing things that it doesn't need. So the way the lung meridian travels is, first of all, bring your elbows down and just fold your hand up, and about where that middle finger lands is going to be about the starting point of the lung meridian. Now, we're not acupuncturists, so we don't have to be exactly precise, and we're going to use the whole part of our hand to actually trace this. So to trace and feed the lung meridian more energy, I'm going to hold my hand out so you can see what I'm doing. You're going to take your hand, travel it around the shoulder, kind of where the seam of my jacket is, and off the thumb. We can do this several times just to give it energy. Now, unless you're somebody that knows how to energy test the body to determine whether the meridians are over or under energy, I don't advise you sedating or strengthening the points, because if you can't test it, then you can't know for sure if in fact the lung meridian is over or under energy, and you can't tell, or you won't be able to know, if there's probably another meridian that might need support. It's not always the meridian that is seemingly at a disadvantage that is over-energized or under-energized. The only way we can really know is by testing. How do you learn to test? You take the Level 1 Fundamentals program. But let's not worry about that right now. What I am going to give you is a really safe tool that you can do for any one of the meridians. And we're going to do it with the lung meridian because that's the meridian that I'm getting questions on. So the way we flush the meridian, again, I'm going to hold my hand out just to exaggerate the movement, is we're going to start at the end point. So this is where the end of the lung meridian is, and we're going to drag our hands about where that seam is, or where the dark skin meets the light skin, and we're going to stop on our chest. We're going to do that one time. That's going backwards. It's kind of like cleaning out a tub before you get in it. Now we're going to feed the lung meridian energy by going forward 3 times. 1, 2, and 3. You're going to do that on both sides, so let's do it again. This time I'll be slow. I won't talk as much. So I'm holding my hand out so you can see what I'm doing. You can put your hand in whatever position that you want, however you're most comfortable. So we're going to hold the hand out. We're going to start at the end point of the meridian. This is where the energy finishes, and we're going to drag our hand up. So we're going to take energy out, and now we're going to feed it. We're going to do the feeding 3 times because we want lung meridian to travel in this direction and have nice, strong flow. Another thing that you can do for the lung meridian is you can work with what we call the source points. Now, every single meridian has a source point. It's a point where energy pools. It's like if you were to imagine a riverbed, which is like a nice narrow riverbed, and that there's a point where it opens up and then comes back together. The source point is very similar. Every meridian has a source point, and every meridian will collect extra energy there. So it's a great reservoir of energy that you can use to help feed the meridian. The great thing about it too is that when you tap it, you rub it, you massage it, what it will do is it'll send the energy where it's needed in that meridian system. So how you find it, I'm going to step a little closer to you, is I'm going to start at my thumb, and I'm just going to trace along that bone, and where I stop, where I naturally fall into place and I dip in, that is where the source point is. So you can rub it, you can tap it, you can just massage it in different directions, or you can hold it. Any one of those things is good. In fact, if you choose to hold it, you could even wrap your hand around and you could hold both at the same time. And if you're holding both at the same time, you might notice pulsing You might notice like heat builds up there. These are all great signs that energy's moving. You might in fact yawn. Yawns are always good to let you know. They're great indicators to let you know that energy's moving. And if you're not yawning but your dog is, that's another good indicator. All right? So let's find that again. So to find the source point, hold your hand up, come along the bone, and then where it falls in that little divot there, that's the source point. That's where you want to rub. All right. Again, you can rub it, you can tap it, you can massage it. Sometimes I like to flip my hands over it. If I think maybe energy's not flowing, might be some irregular energy there, and I'll just flip my hands over to help use my fingertips as a magnet. All right? Okay, so let's see. So we talked about feeding the lung meridian energy just by tracing it forward. We talked about flushing, pulling, like releasing old energy in the channel. It kind of clears the channel and then feeding it new energy, so flushing. And then giving it fresh energy. We talked about rubbing, tapping, massaging, or holding the source points, which is where energy pools on the meridian. Each meridian has it. The next thing I want to talk to you about is just working with the neurovascular points. You can place your hand on your head, and these are the oh my God points. You see people in TV, you see them in movies, you see people out in the world. They get bad news and they either gasp here or they bring their hand to their forehead. It is an intuitive thing that we do. The only thing is, when we intuitively do it, we tend to bring our hand up quickly and then we remove it quickly. When we're working with the neurovasculars, we want to hold it for 3 to 5 minutes. And the reason is that what happens when we're under stress is the blood flow leaves our brain. When somebody is sick or ill or stressed or having surgery or whatever the conditions might be, getting bad news, blood flow actually leaves the brain. It's like it's going in to the arms, the legs, the heart. It's getting ready to determine, your body is, am I going to run? Am I going to fight? Am I going to freeze? Right? And so we now lose that ability to think clearly because that blood flow has actually left the forebrain. So to help the lung meridian in particular, we're going to work with one of the lung neurovasculars, which is at the top of your head. So first and foremost, bring your hand to the forehead. Now you can work with this technique for anything. You can take this second hand, and if you're like, wow, I just want to bring some energy straight to my lungs, you can place your hand where you feel that you need it. The other thing you can do is you can bring your hand to the top of your head. When you do this, you're actually connecting to many different neurovascular points, including one of the lung neurovasculars. This is also a great way to release grief. And so you could release grief here, and you can also call in inspiration. So this is working with the neurovasculars. Now, some other things to note that are beyond your level of knowledge is that we have this wonderful meridian flow wheel. And I'm preparing a drawing right now so that I can just post it so that we can talk more clearly about it, but I'll post it on my YouTube channel when I get it done. But the way the meridian flow wheel works is we have this lung meridian. It's most active during 3 a.m. to 5 a.m. That doesn't mean that energy is not flowing through the meridian, because these meridians are all connected. It's like one big riverbank through our body. But what feeds the lung meridian is the liver meridian. Liver meridian is most active from 1 to 3 a.m. So another meridian that we need to look at and we need to be conscious of is the liver meridian. As most of us know, the liver meridian does over 700 to 800 jobs. And those jobs are really important, and a lot of them will happen and occur when they are most active, when liver is most active. So we want to look at the liver meridian. What's going on with the liver meridian? Again, if you can test, and you're a practitioner, and you're a certified practitioner, and you've got that person with you, then you want to test and determine, is it over or under energy? If you are not somebody that is certified and knows how to do energy testing, then we don't want to go there. What we can do though is we can work with the liver meridian simply by tracing the liver meridian. So I'm going to step back a little bit just so that you can see what I'm doing. The liver meridian starts at the big toe. And so I'm going to bend down and I'm going to show you where it starts. And then we are going to just trace the liver meridian up and we will trace it down. I'll also show you how to flush it. All right? So to trace it forward the way it normally is meant to go in the 24-hour cycle, we start at the big toe. And let's see, we're actually on the inside of the toe. And so we're going to bend down and we're going to just, you can bend your knees, start at the big toe. We're going to drag our hands up, sort of on the inside of our legs. It's going to fan out and then we're going to come in because it actually finishes right here. And I always like to give it a bit of a rub to stimulate that area. So let's do that again. This is tracing liver forward. Big toe, trace up, and we'll give it a rub. Now, just like lung has a way that you can flush it, you can also flush the liver meridian simply by coming to those points, coming out, coming in a little bit, down the inside of the legs, and off the big toe. Now, stay down there because we want to feed it fresh energy. So we're going to come back up. There you go. Now, don't underestimate the power of grounding. Because if you've got somebody that's not feeling well, grounding them by rubbing their feet, they'll love this. Not only is it going to calm them down, it's going to make them feel good, it helps bring the energy down to the ground. So anytime somebody's in my office, they always are getting some level of attention on their feet because when we rub those feet, we're working with multiple points on the feet. And so by rubbing the feet, you want to rub in the gates. And by doing so, you're actually going to activate some other points that you won't even know that you're touching because I don't want to get too far into it. But rub along the gates of the feet. Pull the energy off the toes as best as possible. One other meridian that we can talk about that also will relate to the lung meridian is the bladder meridian. So the bladder meridian on the meridian flow cycle, it's timed at 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. That's 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. for the bladder meridian. So sometimes if that meridian is out of balance, and if somebody's under a lot of stress, it could be that the bladder and meridian is involved. That's why, again, from a testing standpoint, if you don't know how to test, we really have to use simple tools. So the bladder meridian could also be at effect. So anything that calms the nervous system down is also going to, again, help the process because, again, when lung is at high tide, then bladder, its 12-hour counterpart, bladder meridian is at low tide. And I'll be doing some other videos on each one of the meridians specifically, but for now, with the lung meridian, a few things we want to do is we can give it fresh energy. We can flush it by cleaning it out a little bit. 1 time backwards, 3 times forwards. We can work with the source point by rubbing, follow the thumb down, fall into that divot and rub the source point, tap the source point, massage the source point. Do it both sides. And if it's you, you can hold them at the same time. Let's see, how did I do that before? You can hold them together while you're sitting and watching TV or the news. You can hold the beginning point right here and the end point to help boost it. I kind of look at it like it's like a little bit of a rotor where energy is sending from the beginning and end points. You want to do all of these activities on both sides because we're bilateral. We always want to work them together. And you can also hold the neurovasculars, top of the head. And then I added here the liver meridian by tracing it forward. And the reason is because liver comes before lung. So that's from 1 a.m. to 3 a.m. So we can trace it forward. or to help liver out, who's working really hard, we could hold the beginning and end points. Didn't really talk about that. So we're on the toe. I'll do something more specific for liver. And we can flush it. So that liver can help process all of the various medicines, toxins, supplements, whatever it is that the body is working hard to process through. Let's see, anything else? Oh, and then don't forget the effects of getting your hands on the feet to help yourself and others ground. If somebody is not able to get outside and ground, you can so effectively help them stay connected to the earth here on this planet and secure by rubbing their feet, bringing the energy off the toes, really massaging them. Do what would feel good for you, but do it for them. And I think you'll find that it is going to make you feel like you're doing something important, which you are, and it'll also support them in staying grounded to the earth. I hope this was useful. If you have any questions about what I am doing here for you, feel free to ask me those questions, and I will be doing other videos on the various meridians and how to flush them. This is Kelly Goetz, and I am an Eden's Energy Medicine faculty, clinical practitioner, and also a level 1 fundamentals. If you are interested in learning how to energy test, not only these things, but the daily energy routine, I highly encourage you to look up one of the level 1 fundamentals classes in your area. We have several going on, even though several of them are remote right now. I'll be doing one in June in Illinois. So really look into that. They are tools that will last you a lifetime and that you will be able to tune to anytime that you are looking for ways to be curious, to understand what's going on in the body. Until I meet you again, I'm wishing you infinite love and gratitude, and just want to send you all blessings. Thank you. Bye-bye.